Austin Huff here, Goshen News. For both of you guys, what are you guys trying to accomplish here in the last 24 hours as we get closer here to the kickoff? We can start with Dabo.
Just really our routine. You know, obviously you have a lot of time to prepare for this opponent, but we love routine. And that's one of the things that's been kind of cool about this particular bowl is a Monday's actually a Monday and a Friday's actually a Friday. So that's been a little easier. But today is Friday, and so we have a very routine day, and I think that helps. And so we just prepare for the game as we do for all of our games. You know, obviously you've had a lot more time, but I think the routine, it's important that it's the same. So we'll go about our business today just like we would if we were back at home or on the road, you know, any other Friday.
Yeah, I would agree. You know, again, the ability to now get into flipping that mindset from a practice to a competitive mindset, using Friday to do that. But I think it's much more about the routine and, you know, getting comfortable into that routine today. And our kids will feel as though today is really Friday and tomorrow they're ready to play.
We have a question on the right side, about halfway back on the aisle.
Trevor Groves, CUTigers.com. We all heard about the final ruling for Dexter last night. How did he receive the news? How did he take it? And as bad as it is for him, is this really an opportunity for Albert Huggins to shine when everybody's going to be watching him? And also Jordan Williams, is he at the point in his development you think he might be able to play a significant role tomorrow?
Yeah, well, he was obviously disappointed. All three of those guys were disappointed, but not surprised. You know, I mean, it's not like it was a different test. It was the same urine. Sorry about that, but that's what it was. Different tube, same urine. So the test was, you know, the same. I don't think anybody was real surprised by that. So disappointed, but you know, we prepared for that the whole way, or at least since Monday, and our guys are ready to go. But Albert Huggins is a great football player, and you know, you just got to treat it like an injury. I mean, you know, next guy's got to go play. I mean, they're not going to cancel the game. Nobody's going to sit around and have a pity party or feel sorry for you. You got to go play, and we're fortunate, very fortunate, that we've got a guy like Albert that, in our eyes, is a co-starter for us that can step in. But I mean, but I don't want to I don't want to lessen the impact of Dexter. Obviously, he's a phenomenal player, and we're going to miss him. But it's opportunity for Albert and Niles and Jordan. Those guys have played all year long. They have a ton of experience, and you know, they hurt for their teammate, but you best believe they're excited for a little more opportunity for themselves.
Dennis Dodd, CBS Sports. Brian, if you stay through the term of this current contract, you'd be the second longest tenured coach at Notre Dame next to Newt Rockne. What if you thought of that and what that would mean? I've got a quick follow-up.
Well, I think if you can make it that long in this business, that's pretty good. It means you've won enough games to keep employed at the University of Notre Dame. You know, that's not something that really that most coaches give too much thought to. It's really about, I think, each year to a standard, you know, that Notre Dame has. So you know about Newt Rockne's standard, you know about certainly Leahy, Parsegian, Holtz, and you try to live to that standard, you know, each and every year. Try to get back to this game is a standard. You know, Dabo's been here 4 times, so we understand a standard of excellence, and that's kind of what my focus is, more so than longevity or trying to be part of a legacy.
Dovetailing off that, you've been asked over and over about changing since 16, this epiphany, change, whatever.
Yeah.
Give us bullet points that got you and the team here today since then.
Well, I think probably more than anything else, you know, developing our football team, you know, totally in all phases, from the mental end of things, their mental preparation, their physical preparation, technically, tactically. I think overall development in all those areas without missing any of those. And maybe in 16 we weren't developing them in all of those areas to a level that we needed to.
We got a question on the halfway back on the right side.
The Charleston Post and Courier. Coach Swinney, logistically, what are the next steps for Dexter and those guys with the appeal process?
Oh, it's on the right-hand side over here.
Oh, okay. Our Dan Radakovich is kind of running with that with our legal team. They have representation, and there is a process in place. And obviously the timing of it is not very good for this game. But if we were fortunate to be able to win the game, then they'll do everything they can to see if there's any opportunity beyond for next week, if that were possible. So it's really it, and then there's a longer runway, obviously, for the fall, because there's other consequences other than just losing this opportunity. So they'll handle that and deal with that, and that's where it is.
We've got a question on the outside left, and then we're going to go to the right, and we'll go back to the platform.
Will Pelagic, South Carolina Radio Network. For both head coaches, there's been a lot of chatter about postseason reform in college football, and a lot of coaches talk about wanting to preserve the bowls. What can be done, or would you like to see done, that makes sure that these two semifinals and the national championship game don't dwarf the importance and prestige of the other bowls?
Well, I think the playoffs will continue to have a marquee look to them. I don't think that that's going to change. The New Year's Six, if you will, the 6 games still carry a lot of weight in the eyes of coaches and players. The ability to play for those kinds of games, it means a lot. It certainly does. Dabo and I were talking about, as we continue to develop our football teams, we still had 13, 14 practices with our football team, and that matters. So bowl games do, in fact, continue to develop your football teams, and those allow for what he talked about relative to development of your programs and long-standing success and longevity of successful football programs. So I think there's always going to be some tiering as it relates to the bowl games, but I don't believe that you're going to see, some are going to play in the game and some are not. Those are individual decisions that I think the players are allowed to make, but I don't think you're going to see any pushback from coaches. These are still important opportunities to develop your programs.
Yeah, I agree, and there's always going to be tiering in the bowls, just like there's tiering in college football. You have 130 teams, and there's tiering. It's just simple as that. But I think that we already have expanded playoffs. I mean, I really believe, I say it every year, there's probably only 12 or 15 teams that really have a chance to get here at the beginning of every year. And so, to me, everybody wants to expand the playoffs. I think it's already expanded. I think that the regular season is the playoffs. It's critical. The postseason. I mean, if we lose to Pitt, we're not here. That was a playoff game. If we lost to South Carolina, we're probably not here. That was a playoff game. If we lost to Duke, we're not here. That was a playoff game. So I think we have playoffs every week. If they had lost to Southern Cal, they're not here. It's a playoff game. They had lost to Pitt, they're not here. It's a playoff game. And so I think that's what makes college football so unique and special and different from all the other sports out there. I think the more you expand, then the less the season matters. Certainly other bowls, but I watched Temple win last night. I can't remember who they played. Duke. No. Was it who did Temple? No, not Temple. Baylor. Who Baylor? Baylor. Yeah, Vanderbilt. I watched Baylor win last night, and Coach Rule, man, that's what it's all about. How pumped was Coach Rule? How pumped was he after the game? How excited were those kids after the game? What's wrong with that? What's wrong with about how many bowl teams do we have? How many bowl games we got? 70 something? 80? I don't know. How many bowl games we got? Whatever. What's wrong with about how many we got? 40. All right. What's wrong with about 40 teams ending their season with a win and having a championship to celebrate in their own right? Because not everybody is going to have an opportunity to win the national championship. It's just not going to happen. And so I love the fact that I can turn on the TV and watch Baylor and Coach Rule, who's building his team, who just has had all this time to prep, extra practice, to go out and compete and to be able to celebrate a great moment, as opposed to only one team walks away and is happy. We have that in all the other sports. And I think the combination of what we have right now in college football is great. It's unique. We're not going to make the playoff every year. I'm just going to go ahead and newsflash everybody here. So there's going to be a time where we're at whatever bowl, and we're going to love that, and we're going to compete, and we're going to get our team better, and we're going to do the very best we can. And so I think it's great what we have, and I think there's awesome matchups. And Duke beat Temple. I think that's who it was. Yeah. Duke beat Temple, and I know Coach Cutt was pumped up. His team was excited. I think that's awesome. I don't see anything wrong with that. So I think there's always people pushing whatever agendas they want either way. But as a guy who's been a part of it for a long time, as a player and a coach, I love what we have, and love the bowls and all that stuff.
Zach Groth with ABC 21 in Fort Wayne. For both of you, starting with Coach Kelly, what do you admire most about the guy sitting next to you right now?
Well, I think for Dabo, his ability to create, consistency in a time where inconsistency is everything around us. It's easy to get distracted. And to keep that within your culture and your program requires just to have an eye on it every single day. So his ability to continue to keep his program year in and year out at the top of college football requires more than just recruiting good players. It's all what he talked about earlier. It's an understanding of the smallest of details that we could probably talk hours about. And again, I think that I admire people that can look at things from much more of a perspective of people first, and the ability to motivate people, not just players, but everybody around them. And he's done a great job with that.
Well, for me, it is his golf swing. I don't know if you've seen his golf swing.
Which is not a good thing to have in this business.
He has got the sweetest golf swing, and it's really frustrating. He's a very smooth golfer. I did not know that, but I had a chance to witness that firsthand back in May. No, for me, it's just longevity. I mean, he's been incredibly successful at several places, which is really hard to do in this business. Excuse me. To win the amount of games that he's won, to be able to, wherever he's been, to take what's been there and make it better and to win. Whether it be Central Michigan, the Chippewas, Cincinnati. I remember watching him first time at Cincinnati, and man, what they were doing there. And then come right to Notre Dame. Obviously, different standards at Notre Dame, but to be able to win at the level that he's won at everywhere and have the type of longevity that he's had in his career, I think that's what every coach aspires for. Longevity is not a common thing in this business. So I really admire that about him, and then just how well coached his teams are. I This team's a great example of that. They're disciplined, they're accountable, they're where they're supposed to be. They don't hardly give up any big plays. They take care of the ball. They just play very smart and intelligent football.